speak to parenting coach Sue Atkins. Sue, you're not a great fan of these.
No, not really. I think it's a fine balance between spying, controlling, teaching, and trusting your kids online. And it's a complicated world, I know. But, if you break trust, that's one of the important things with families, to feel connected and loved, of course. But also, there's a thing about privacy. And one of the key things that teenagers are trying to do is break away from you and become independent. And there is that kind of thing where you're overzealous, over anxious, and you're passing on messages that the world is a very dangerous place. And of course, they are going to do that. It's going to make them more secretive, and they are going to do what's just happened to you, leave their phone at a friend's house and go off clubbing without you knowing.
But I suppose we've got a higher, as Wilfred was saying, we do have a higher threshold of worry now, don't we, or a lower threshold. We want more information than we did. My parents did in the 60s or 70s. There'll be a couple of days before they wondered where I was. Now it's a couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, that's all feeding into anxiety. And I think that's due to 24/7 connection and the news being on a loop. And if you watch that all the time, you get more and more anxious. Everything in balance. You don't ban stuff. You try and find a balance with it. And with teenagers, it is talking to them about staying safe. When my kids were young, they went off out and did their own thing. But I wouldn't dream of tracking them. But I did ask them to ring me when they got there, or ring me when they got home, or whatever they were doing. So I kept an eye on them in that way. But then once they went off to university, I don't know what they were doing, and probably I didn't need to sometimes.
The funny thing, just to explain to people who haven't got these apps, the funny thing is that once they're on your phone and everyone says, OK, I'm signed up, and they may sign up on a wet Monday because they're going to going out with friends, they tend to stay on. That's the thing. And so you turn on the app and you see where everyone is.
I'll be honest, I barely look at mine.
No, I don't look at mine, really. I don't like to. I do feel a bit like I'm
that's because you're balanced.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Natalie and Kent, are you a parent, Natalie?
Hello. Yes, I am. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi. So do you have one of these apps?
Oh, yes.
And you don't see anything wrong with it?
Well, no, it was more my husband's idea, to be fair, because I don't do all that. But we've got one daughter, and when she started secondary school 3 years ago, we obviously got her a phone, because from years of me taking her to primary school, this was her walking to school now. Yeah. So we said, well, we'll put it on your phone, and then we know when you've got to school or not. It was just purely a safety thing because of her walking to school and what have you. That, and she's a bit of a,
bit of a one.
A slow. She's a bit of a dawdle daisy. So we wanted to make sure that she did actually get to school in time. Yeah. But there was one time where she didn't act, because it pings us when she gets to school and when she leaves school. And there was one time that it didn't ping, so we were like, oh, my God. And I've got diagnosed mental illnesses, so I could worry for Britain. But it's we didn't know whether she was at school or not. And that we rang the school, and what it was is that she had turned her mobile phone off before she got to school, and it then didn't ping to say she was at school. Yeah, so from that point of view, it was a safety thing. But also, she likes it because then if for whatever reason she can't call us, she knows that we know where she is.
Yeah, but it's a funny one. OK, so my youngest went jogging last night in a dark, and she's 16, and she ran alongside the river, right? And the river is dark.
Yeah. I just would never allow that.
But there are other people there, and you wouldn't allow it.
Oh, God, I would be so terrified.
Well, I am terrified. And she said, look, can you just check that I'm not dead at the end of it? So I said, well, we're going out, so we're not going to have time to check. So I said, look, just call us if you've been abducted or anything. So I know, we just have I bet
you're a nice dad, because I would just say you could go jogging, but it's got to be not along a sort of a river canal, somewhere at least is lit.
I figure if you're running and someone starts coming after you, you've got a head start because you're moving fast,
You're a good dad.
Lucky
to have you as a dad.
I don't want to be fussing. So Sue, I see you shaking your head, but she said, can you check the app to make sure I haven't been murdered? And I say, well, I haven't got time to, but, we'll have a look later on.
But that's That's about talking and teaching, isn't it? And empowering and keeping a kiddie, oh, your kid, she's 16, not a kiddie, keeping them streetwise and choosing and making sure that they make better choices. It's a conversation, not an app. Because realistically, these apps are not designed for parents. They're actually, collecting all the data and sending them all off to the third parties.
Yes,
so
right.
I think there's a really fine line between talking and teaching, stalking and spying, and keeping an eye on them. You've got to find that elusive balance, haven't you? And allow them to understand that the world could be dangerous, but this is what you would do in certain situations. And on the other hand, I don't want to be obsessed with tracking everywhere where you've gone and what you're doing all the time, or vice versa.
Where I am obsessive, Wilfred, is with motor traffic. So I said to her, whatever happens, take your headphones off if you are going near a road. She said there's no road down there. So I said, yeah, but you could be followed by a road or something, or one could jump out. So I'm much more worried about roads than people. Andrea in Merseyside, hello.
Hiya.
Hello. Do you think apps are okay to track your kids?
Yeah, I think it's fine because it's for safety, isn't it? So to keep an eye on where your children are. So many children get abducted and stuff. So yeah, I would say it would be okay.
Well, thankfully, thankfully they don't. The numbers of children who are abducted is so low. The fear of it is so high. So. Anyway, there we are. Thank God it is a very, very rare. I mean, we probably know all their names. Anyway, Andrew, go on.
Yeah, I agree with what the ladies just said. All of our information's being collected anyway by the third party. So why not use it for ourselves, for keeping our children safe?
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
I don't see a problem with it.
Thanks so much. Have a good weekend. Helen in Lincolnshire, hi.
Hi panel.
You okay with this?
Yeah, absolutely. My son is nearly 15, and I wasn't sure at first, but we had quite an open discussion with him, and just obviously explained it's for his safety, just to so we know where he is, if we need to go and pick him up or anything like that. And he's really happy with it. He remembers to turn it on before he leaves. So like the other day he went shopping with his friends on the train, and he was quite happy. He's like, I'll remember to put it on, and absolutely fine. I think it's a good thing to do.
Thank you, Helen. Sue, the issue is it shows you where the phone is, not where the child is. So if somebody hurts your child and takes their phone and runs off with it, it just looks like they're having a nice jog somewhere.
But what this is about, and your caller was talking to her son, chatting to him, connecting with him, asking permission, and not stalking kind of him. He knew what's going on. And that, to me, is the important thing. And it shows the bond between them and the connection. And it was, they agreed it. So that's important for me as well, this idea of trusting him, talking to him, and keeping him safe, of course, if he is in agreement with it.
Just going to go to Claire in Staffordshire. Hi, Claire. Now, you're being tracked, I understand.
I am, yeah. It's actually the other way around, my story. My granddaughter, she's 18 next month. She lives with me. Okay. She's actually got the tracker on her phone and she tracks me. Not that I need tracking, but what I'm saying is, looking at it from the other side, it was her idea. A lot of young people are very responsible, so she wants me to know where she is.
Good point.
I bet your granddaughter probably talks to her friends on Snapchat, which I don't use, but my kids do. And on that, they can see where their friends are. We went on a holiday once and Lily showed me, and her friends, you could see who was in where she lives. And so they're kind of used to it.
Yes, I don't do
because I don't think people want to track because they want to be nosy. I think most people want to track because they just want to, for security reasons. And that's, I think, that's where Sue's got a difficulty, because you're communicating anxiety, Sue.
That's what I think, that the world is a dangerous place. Well, we know it can be, of course. So it's better to talk and teach your kids about how to stay safe, communicate with them around difficult situations. But the idea of tracking them, and certainly without their knowledge, because actually our phones have that capacity anyway, but it's more about talking with them and not showing them that the world is a totally dangerous place, because then you end up with kids that are really anxious.
Yeah, but I don't think we're saying that the world's a dangerous place. It's a bit like you have a burglar alarm on your house. Everybody would have a burglar alarm just because everybody's aware that the chances of burglar happening will not...
No, but I listen, I think there's a good argument to say that if you have children, you shouldn't have a burglar alarm. And I have one myself, but I do think that when you're a child and you live in a house with a burglar alarm, you live in a height of state and anxiety about burglary.